Hi, this is John Casey, author of Baby Babble Wordplay, Unlock Your Child's Genius. This video is for parents of infants and toddlers and children under the age of 3 who have some sort of speech delay or some sort of speech difficulties that you might want some help with. Today I'm going to be reading from my book, Baby Babble Wordplay, a section of it that I think might explain some of the importance of memory creation and the importance of actually what's going on in the memory. So, for visual memory creation, this is for the look, point, talk, and feel method that I introduce. Your child is going to benefit from the ability to recall strong visual imagery at will. This requires that somehow those images get inside the mind to start with. Real objects are generally best, followed by moving pictures, then still pictures, and then drawings. The benefit of real objects is that many times you can take your child over to the object and touch it. A real horse is much more memorable than a picture of a horse, and it feels softer too. However, when you don't have time to drive to the nearest farm or racetrack, the pictures are very convenient. You must work with what you have on hand. As the parent, each day you get to decide what visual memories you are going to work on. If you're using a visual dictionary, you start at the beginning and just decide what pages you want to look at. Then as you turn the pages, you point to a picture and ask aloud, "What's this?" Then answer by reading the label under the picture that you are pointing to. "Oh, look, it's a rabbit," or just point and say "a rabbit." Outside in the real world, when you are with your child and have a hand free and time and are not exhausted from staying up all night because they were up all night, you might point to a tree and say "tree," and point to a car and say "car," and so on. Mind you, your child will not be listening or paying attention very much for days or weeks or months, depending on how early you begin this process. But then one day suddenly they're focused on watching everything you do and listening to everything you say. I don't know when that's going to happen, and you don't know when that's going to happen. That's why we get ready for it by doing these behaviors before they're ready, so that when they're ready, we're also ready. Your mindset is that you are looking for more words to add all the time. The feeling part is one aspect of this method that has limited benefit. The brain works with a language part and a tactile memory part. Tactile is the sense of touch. In experiments where a patient had connective tissue removed that connected the two halves of the brain, which allowed communication between the two halves, he could pick up objects and recognize their shape and feel, but not be able to say what it was. Holding a fluffy, soft towel to your child and saying "towel" could be part of a game where you introduce common objects while saying the name of the objects, and you let your child touch a safe part of it. No sharp objects or objects that can be swallowed or stuck in a nose or mouth, obviously. Originally, I wanted people to use concept cards to be able to have a visual image to help form the strong visual memory. I mentioned it earlier. At the time, I also want to suggest the use of the following books for creating a strong visual memory. These are the primary reference books I would like you to use. The Smithsonian Picturepedia by D.K. Books. That's Dorling Kinserly, I think. The Merriam-Webster Visual Dictionary, again by D.K. Books. And the Merriam-Webster Children's Dictionary. These are just my personal preferences, and they're available also at Barnes & Noble and online on Amazon. As I was saying, when your child is old enough to not eat the pages, those are the books that you want to sit and look at and read to your child. Stories are nice, but these books that I just told you are useful and will expand and fill the mind of your child, unlike stories about bears or pigs or cats or other entertainment. I'm mentioning it now because of the tremendous value that it will bring to your child's entire life. The books listed above are better than the ones I had available to me as a child. So whether you decide to send your child to a private school or public school or homeschool your child, the time you spend one-on-one giving lessons with your child is the most effective action that any parent can do. This has to do with the imprinting that children have for their parents. Your children could watch a video of you saying things and a video of me saying the exact same things, and they're going to forget what I said and remember everything you said. That's just how that works. They care about what you say. They don't care what I say. So I'm not exaggerating when I say your child could memorize large sections of those books without any bad effects, only good ones. So do this. When your child is old enough to allow you to sit and hold them in your lap as you read, open up the Picturepedia or the Visual Dictionary and hold your child's index finger and use it to point to the pictures and name the image. Horse, feather, flower, and so on. Repeat this day after day after day. Ideally, the research has shown that moving visual images have a stronger imprint than pictures that are not moving. But at present, the best non-moving images that I can find are listed in the books I just read. Each image creates its own memory. Every image in that book creates what we might call a starter image memory. And once we see it enough times to recognize it, then we can recall it later also. And then we can add other information to that memory, and we can link other memories to that one too. Basically, we want to develop a cloud of information inside our own minds. In the future, I'll be providing video on my website for vocabulary and visual concepts. Yeah, that doesn't matter. So what goes on in the brain, I'll stay off the book for a minute, but what goes on in the brain is when we form a memory, that one neuron will get the experiences that we had. And then when we get another memory, those neurons link together through dendrites in the brain. And as we continue to have similar memories, the information somehow gets stored in those neurons. And then other associated memories get linked up by the dendrites. So the more memories we have of different things that we can find similarities to, they all get linked together. So if I asked you to think of something red, you could think of a lot of things that were red. All those memories are now linked together by the concept of red. We could say animals, and now all these concepts we have will link together by animals. So we have different filter systems in our mind that allow us to find the memories we want. But the trick is, the key part of it is we have to have those memories to start with. And the longer it takes for children to get all these memories, the longer it takes for their memories to develop, and the harder it is to have a vocabulary if you don't have a memory of something. So, back to this real quick for another couple of minutes. Children statistically enter the babbling stage between the ages of 5 months to 16 months. This large range of 13 months is 13 months? I can't add. It's 11 months. It's very likely due to the differences in environments in the child's home, allowing for some degree of error in estimating the onset of a child's babbling. It's impossible to try to guess what factors contribute to the early babbling of some children and the later babbling of other children. Video recording now makes it easier to establish a record of the child's actual development, but it's not commonly used as much as I would like it to be. As a result, nobody really knows for certain why some children develop faster than others, but they always blame it on genetics. Either way, your job is to do everything you can to help your child develop. So, I'll stop reading for there, but the points that I'd like you to remember and decide whether or not you're going to work on is that when it comes to the information that you, as the parent, have to give to your child, the same information that you give repeatedly will build, and your child will get a memory of something, but it won't be a strong memory the first time they see it. It might be. Some things are very strong memories initially if they have an emotional component to them, like the first ice cream cone, the first dance, your first date, things like this. Other more boring things have to be repeated a few times, or even 15 or 20 times, before they're easily remembered. So with that in mind, we want to be able to introduce some concepts over and over and over again until our children get them. And then other times we'll get lucky and they'll remember it right away, but we can't count on that. So we plan out what we're going to teach our children with the knowledge ahead of time that we're going to have to tell them 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 times before they remember it, or more. The point isn't to get it done once and hope it works out. That doesn't work very well for a lot of people. Most people, in fact, it doesn't work very well for. So, with that in mind, I'm going to end it there and hope I've added some value and explained how memory works in some ways. It's not a neurosurgeon's explanation of it, but it's the practical aspect as it relates to us as parents trying to teach our children. So, I hope I've added some value to your life in this video. Have a good evening. Thank you.